girl named Vera is imprisoned by crazy plastic surgeon. Fasten your seatbelt, guys. It's gonna be absolutely mind-blowing story.
She is forced to wear a protective suit because her skin is too fragile. While Vera is doing yoga, Robert Ledgard speaks at a scientific conference about the importance of full facial reconstruction in burn patients. The face defines a fire victim's identity. It's not enough to save her life. They need to have a face. After the conference, the men pull into the car park of a maternity hospital and secretly buy the materials needed for his experiments from a local nurse. Back at his estate, Robert immediately enters the home laboratory. He experiments on a newly acquired sample of human blood. Afterwards, he goes into his room and observes the naked Vera through the monitor screen, who is lying motionless. The man picks up a box and heads to her room. As he enters, he tells her he has brought her opium and is horrified to notice that she tried to commit suicide with the help of sheets from a magazine. He carries her to his laboratory and gives her medical attention in time. After regaining consciousness, Vera asks, "How long will this last?" Robert is silent. In response, it becomes clear that the doctor has kept her locked up for years, regularly conducting medical experiments on the girl. There is also a servant living at home together, led by a manageress named Marilia, who is in the know about the whole faith experiment. In fact, she even helps Robert keep the girl in confinement. At breakfast, Marilia brings the doctor some animal blood that she has collected at his behest. Robert immediately heads to his home laboratory to have the samples tested in the lab. He has many different types of insects and vials of different animal blood. For his research, he takes out artificially grown skin and staples it onto a mannequin. After a few hours, he transports the skin onto Faith's body, testing for burns and mosquito bites. Robert finally declares the experiment a success. He has created a durable skin for the patients. Now, you won't have any burn marks. Robert is sharing his discovery with his colleagues. He has created a tough skin that can resist burns and many insect bites. Robert named his invention Gallia. He also claims that his work will help to get rid of malaria once and for all. However, he has to declare that all the experiments were conducted on laboratory mice. Robert assures that all the algorithms can be applied to humans as well. After the presentation, Roberto's supervisor asks why he chose that name and about the details of the leather's production. Robert says he named it in honor of his late wife, who suffered numerous burns all over her body before she died. The inquisitive mind of the science advisor leads Robert to confess that he baptized human cells with his own to make the leather stronger. Obviously, this practice is completely illegal. It's illegal to perform transgenic therapies on humans. Yes, I know, and that, I'm sorry, is the real paradox. We're tampering with everything around us: meat, clothes, vegetables. So why not use scientific advances to improve our species? Do you realize how many diseases we could cure with transgenics? Or how many genetic defects we would avoid? Don't continue. Upon hearing this, the supervisor demands an immediate halt to the research. Otherwise, he will be forced to report it to the scientific community. On his return home in the evening, Robert takes the opium box again and goes into Vera's room. He has finished his experiments on her, and now she can boast the best skin in the world. Vera asks in fear, what awaits her now? But the doctor evades the answer. Then she suggests him to get married and live happily as a normal family. These words frighten the man, and he hurriedly leaves. The girl tries to change her mind and could set the whole house on fire. She said, "I am yours and sensible by your standards." A little later, Marilia offers to get rid of Vera. She says her resemblance to Robert's calm wife could cause big problems for the foreseeable future, but Robert has no intention of rushing into such action. Apparently, he is seriously considering Vera's proposal and only asks Marilia to dismiss all the other servants in the house so that there will be no problem in hiding the fact from Vera's confinement. The next morning, while the servants are leaving the estate, a man in a carnival tiger costume approaches the gate. The man informs Marilia that he is her son Zeka, not just any Zeka, whom she hasn't seen in 10 years because of a complicated relationship. "How dare you come here?" Distressed, the woman lets Zeka into the house. During lunch, Marilia watches a news report about a robbery. One of the robbers is her somewhat dim-witted son, Zeka. The woman can't believe her eyes. However, Zeka doesn't even try to deny it, only calls his accomplice an idiot for not switching off the surveillance cameras. He wants Roberto to change his face a little, change his appearance. Marilia says that when he puts him on the operating table under anesthesia, he'll give him a lethal injection. Suddenly, he notices Vera on the monitor and is struck by her beauty. But here's the strange thing. Zeka seems to know the girl. When it reaches him that this is not a recording, he demands his mother to tell him in which room the girl is. Marilia tries to stop him. "Ma, you didn't shoot your son." Then Zeka ties up his mother and goes to look for the girl. After a long search, they enter her room. Vera breaks through her door, and while Zeka is lying down, the girl tries to escape. The bald man grabs her and imagines himself to be the bald man from Brothers, wants to commit acts of violence. During sexting, says he is surprised to see her alive, mistook the girl for Robert's wife. "Gal, how did you escape? I left you burning like a torch." Vera realizes he is the only way to freedom for her, so she's ready to give in to him and play along so that the fool will take her with him. Robert returns home to find Marilia tied to a chair. He notices Zeka on the monitor screen performing forceful acts on Vera. In anger, Robert bursts into the room and kills Zeka. He then takes the exhausted girl in his arms. Surprisingly, Marilia calmly accepted her son's murder and even helps Robert clean up the crime scene. While Robert has gone to dispose of Zeka's body, Marilia tells Vera that Robert and the family are brothers. However, they did not know about it. The woman confesses that she gave birth to Zeka by a servant who soon disappeared, while she became pregnant with Robert by Mr. Ledgard. When she worked for him as a servant, his wife was infertile, so the couple took mortified Robert. Consequently, she is his biological mother, something Robert doesn't even realize. Though their fathers were different and both were born completely insane, the craziness ended up in the womb. Vera asks why the cult named her Gal. The woman replies that he mistook her for Robert's wife, who looked exactly like Vera. Robert's sects had different childhoods. Robert was raised in luxury and given an expensive education, and also Marilia was always there to take care of him. While Zeka grew up on the streets in a crime-ridden neighborhood, away from his mother, Robert had a happy family. Together with his wife, they raised a daughter named Norma. However, everything changed 12 years ago when Zeka committed a crime and, in order to lay low, came to his mother, who at the time worked as the manager of Robert's estate. She put her son up in the guest house. No one expected Vera to fall in love with the reckless and free-spirited bandit Zeka. The couple decided to run away, but they were involved in a car accident. Zeka got out of the burning car and escaped, leaving Vera to burn alive. Robert found her. She was barely alive and completely disfigured with numerous burns. Despite the betrayal, Robert still loved Vera and made every effort to save her. He spent days and nights with her, helping her recover from the incident, organizing numerous studies to restore his wife to her former appearance. He ordered all mirrors to be removed from the house so that she would not see her reflection. After a while, thanks to Robert's efforts, Vera was on the mend. And when she was able to stay on her feet, Vera heard her daughter singing in the yard. As she tried to look up, she saw her reflection in the window pane. She was horrified by her appearance. Vera jumped from the window. Vera's mutilated body fell right in front of her daughter, which traumatized the girl for life. It was no longer a person, but a mistake. Years later, Norma also said goodbye to her life in the same way. Later that evening, Robert let Vera lie down in his room. He wanted to do adult things with her, but the girl stopped him, saying that Zeka had traumatized her in the process and she needed time to recover. In their embrace, the couple falls asleep. We see Robert's story, which took place 6 years ago. Norma was discharged from the asylum, where she was recovering from what she had seen on the day her mother died. But the girl was still on sedatives. One evening, Robert took Norma to his patient's wedding. Seems to be getting better. At least she wasn't afraid of people anymore. But after a few minutes, he lost sight of her. Robert went to look for her in the manor courtyard. Walking through the woods, Robert realized that young people go here to exchange bodily fluids. Among them, he tried to watch the norm. Suddenly, he spotted a bloke on a motorbike who was clearly running away in a hurry. He found his daughter's shoe, then her scattered clothes under a tree, and Norma was lying unconscious. When she came to her senses, the girl became hysterical, apparently confused her father with Joseph, who abused her. Robert wakes up in a sweat and embraces Vera. We are shown the same story from the other side, which happened to a guy named Vincent. On the same day, 6 years ago, the guy was working at his mother's boutique. He really liked his co-worker, a girl named Christine, but all of Vicente's advances were in vain, as Christine always preferred girls, which meant Vincent didn't stand a chance. That same evening, Vincent went to the same wedding. He's a very progressive young man, and after popping Vincent's pills, he tried to find a date for the evening. There was a spark between Norma and Vincent. As a result, the guy invited the girl for a walk in the woods. However, Norma, due to her psychological reasons, behaved like a child in an adult's body, not understanding what the guy wanted from her. Vincent said that he had overdone the pills today. Norma broke a heel, so she took off her shoes and her sweatshirt, which made her feel uncomfortably claustrophobic in those clothes. Vincent took this as a signal to take action. Afterwards, he started to get closer. The girl who had spent her last years in a clinic came in a daze from such actions and didn't realize what was happening. But when it came to the matter, the Norm in a panic began to scream and bite. Not finding any other way to calm her down, Vincent knocked out the Norm with a slap. In an attempt to cover his tracks, the guy straightened her clothes, jumped on his motorbike and sped away. A week after the incident, Vincent goes for a motorbike ride and Robert follows him in a van. He hits the guy on a forest road, then puts the poor guy to sleep with a tranquilizer. The motorbike is dumped at the cliffside and Vincent is taken to the basement of his mansion. The police tell Vincent's mother that they found his motorbike at the cliff and it is likely that her son failed to control it and fell off the motorbike into the sea. His body was never found. The woman refuses to believe it because her maternal heart tells her that her son is alive. The next day, Robert comes to the hospital to see his daughter, but she refuses to meet her father and closes herself in the wardrobe. The doctors say the girl has developed a phobia of men and only comes into contact with the nurses. Robert keeps the boy chained in the basement of the sea by his hunger and thirst. After a week of this abuse, Robert washes Vincent with a hose, like the cops washed Rambo. Then they move him to more comfortable quarters. A few days later, the Norm says goodbye to life. He jumps out of a window, overwhelmed by grief and devastated. Robert decides to take out his anger on Vincent. He prepares the guy for the operation. Robert forges Vincent's documents and invites his colleagues to perform a vaginoplasty on the guy. Here are all the surgery papers and envelopes. When you're ready, let's get started, unsuspecting. The doctor also successfully transforms the guy into a girl. After the operation, he wakes up and finds out he's no longer a man and is shocked. Later, when Vincent tries to examine his new body in the mirror, Robert comes in and gives him dilators to eventually make things deeper in there. The doctor examines Vincent regularly and helps him recover from the surgery. In the process, Robert confesses why he kidnapped Vincent, but he replies that he took a lot of pills and doesn't remember anything. What else could he do, though? As the years pass and after many plastic surgeries, Robert transforms Vincent into an exact replica of his wife and says that his name is now Vera. Living in confinement, Vera regularly tries to break free. During one such attempt, she almost succeeds in doing so, but the doctor manages to lock the door, then grabs a knife. This was the first time that Vera tried to play with her life once more. However, the doctor managed to save her. He equipped a special room for her, from which the girl has no chance to escape. To keep at least a bit of sanity, Vera begins to do yoga. The film is set in the present day. Robert and Vera gradually become closer. It seems that Robert is seriously considering a full-fledged family life with Vera. Marilia is not happy that Vera is allowed to walk quietly around the house. She is wary of the girl. Robert in turn even allows Vera to go out on the town with Marilia. She warns of the possible consequences if Vera runs away. But the doctor believes the girl truly loves him. All these years, Vincent's mother has not given up trying to find her son, and now she still publishes his photo in the newspapers. It was this photo that was noticed by one of Robert's colleagues, who helped him make steps to Vincent's plastic surgery. He recognizes the young man and comes to Robert to find out the details. The colleague demands from Robert to confess what the matter is, but he is ready to shoot his friend to avoid responsibility. That's when Vera comes in. She saves Robert by saying that everything is all right. She voluntarily went to this operation as she loves Robert and confirms the legend with a kiss. The colleague leaves in confusion. Robert expresses his appreciation to the girl. That evening, the couple is going to do adult things. Vera says she hasn't recovered yet, but she can try the powers she bought in town today. She follows them downstairs, finds Robert's gun, and takes it with her. The girl notices a newspaper with a picture of herself as Vincent and tearfully kisses her pictures, then goes upstairs to Robert's house. Upstairs, she points the gun at the doctor and confesses that she lied to him and never loved him, oddly enough. Robert is shocked by this turn of events. The girl kills the doctor. Marilia rushes to the scene. She bursts into the room, but the woman suffers the same fate as her sons. The next day, Vera comes to her mother's boutique. Christine is surprised by her guest's strange behavior. Something is wrong. Walking through the shop with tears in her eyes, Vera tells Christine that she is Vicente. She tells her story and shows the dress he wanted to give Christine 6 years ago.
Do you remember this dress? I said I was giving it to you to see how it was faring, and you said if I liked it so much that I should wear it myself.
And finally, Vicente had a chance to win Christine's heart. The mother enters, and that's the end of the film.
That was a super controversial recap today. Don't forget to watch a new film right here, it's gonna be very interesting, and leave a comment below because I bet you needed to watch this recap again and again to get the story.